G'day everyone, it's Alan here from FishingMad. Redfin are an awesome fish to target with lures and soft plastics. In fact, it was the first species that I ever caught on a lure using an EcoGear SX40. However, today the market is saturated with hundreds of different lures and soft plastics, many of which work remarkably well for the humble redfin, which is an aggressive predatory fish that will have a go at just about anything. Now in this video, I'm going to walk you through my 10 favorite redfin lure and soft plastics, how I use them, and why I think they make really good options. Now before we begin, leave a comment with your 3 favorite redfin lure and soft plastics. It makes for great discussion and debate, and I'm always interested to hear what others are using. Anyways, let's get started. Let's start with the Nories Wasaby spoon. Now the 2 biggest redfin I've ever caught has come directly off this lure here. So that is the 12 gram version in that green and gold pattern. Now these metal spoons were released on the market several years ago, initially designed for vertical jigging in deep water for species like bass. However, they make really good redfin lures, and that's because of their weight. They cast an absolute mile, which is awesome for land-based anglers in open lakes, and they also come in a good range of colours and sizes. Now, the sizes available are 4 grams, one which I really haven't seen much in the Australian market. Then there's the 8 gram model, which is one like that, which is a little bit smaller than the one I showed you before. You also have the 12 gram one, which I have shown you already, which is this one here. And then you've got the big brother, which is the 18 gram one, which is one you can cast an absolute mile. There is over 20 different colours in the range and a new pressed dimple design which they have labelled as hammered. Now these are such a simple design, just a very basic spoon, and they have a very subtle wobbling action in the water when you work them. So what I'll typically do with these is I'll cast them out, and they cast a very long way, let them sink for a couple of seconds, and then just do a continual slow roll, which works remarkably well with the 8 gram version and the bigger 12 gram version. A couple of things to keep in mind with these lures. Firstly, check the lure weight capacity of the rod that you're fishing with, particularly if you're fishing with the bigger 12 gram or 18 gram version. You'd hate to compromise your rod tip by fishing with a lure that's bigger than what your rod's capable of. Secondly, these metal spoons come with quite large single trebles at the back. Now, I don't find that so bad because typically when I'm fishing with these lures, I'm targeting bigger model redfin. But if you wanted to, you could consider downgrading and putting smaller size trebles, or even putting singles or stinger hooks, which also work really well. The other thing to point out is that these lures don't have a split ring where you actually attach your leader. So I would recommend, where you can, to definitely use a loop knot to connect this lure, or a snap swivel, which is going to make sure that it swims correctly and that it's not going to come loose by a knot that's not attached properly. Now these lures from most shops cost about $20, which is pretty pricey for just a little bit of metal like that. However, they are really effective and definitely in my top 10. Next on my list is the Strike Tiger 3-inch curl tails. Now, Grub style soft plastics are widely available on the market. In fact, it's so saturated that most of the major fishing brands have their own take on soft plastics of this type of design. I really like the Strike Tiger 3-inch curl tails for one reason in particular, and they've got some pretty unique out there bright colours. There's 3 colours in particular that they've got that really work well on redfin. They've got this orange one, which is called Vodka and Orange. They've got this yellow one, which is called Banana Shock. And they've also got a UV pink one, which is called Princess. Now the action and durability of these soft plastics are pretty similar to what you'd expect out of something like a Zman Grub or a Berkeley Power Grub. It's because of those really bright colours that makes them an excellent choice. Now the soft plastics do come scented, however when you do open up the packet, it's not that obvious. One thing that I really like to do is to rig them up in this style here, using a jig spinner or a Colorado jig head. And what that does, it adds a lot of extra action, flash and movement in the water that redfin respond really well to. And at $11 for a packet which includes 12 soft plastics, it's pretty good value, and definitely an option in my top 10. There are many wonderful minnow style hard body lures on the market. In fact, I can think of about 10 of them on the top of my head just like that. One that I've been using with success lately is the duo Realis Ryuki Spearhead, which is a little bit of a mouthful. However, it's a beautiful hard body minnow. It's designed really well and it's got a great swimming action. And I really like using this when I'm land-based fishing or fishing on my kayak when I'm casting towards the bank or along any structure. Now this lure comes in 3 different sizes. You have the 50 MDF that weighs 3.4 grams and will sink down to about 4 feet. You have the 60S which weighs 6.5 grams and gets you down to about 3 feet. And then you have this one here, which is the one that I really like, which is the 70 MDF, which stands for medium deep floating. It weighs 5.4 grams and it will get you down to about 4 foot, which is a really nice depth because redfin are typically holding the bottom. So these hard body lures have a really stylish finish. They've got those beautiful bright shiny colors. They've got a magnet weight system which helps for really long and accurate casts. The only downside to these lures is that they cost $25 each, and that's a pretty steep price to pay for a hard body lure, especially when you consider there's some pretty stiff competition in that space, but definitely one to have a look at. Next on my list is the Samaki Vibelicious. Now, this has a realistic design and action that mimics a small redfin, a small mullet, or a small baitfish really well. Now, there are 2 options available in the range. You have the Vibelicious fork tail like this, which is available in 5 sizes: the 70mm, the 85mm, the 100mm, the 125mm, and the 150mm. And then there's the Vibelicious Thumper, which is available in 3 sizes: the 70mm, the 100mm, and the 125mm. Now these vibes are effective on a whole range of freshwater and saltwater species. When specifically targeting redfin, I really like these 70mm forktail options. They're made from that stretchy material, which is surprisingly durable, and it has these heavy split rings and trebles. There are 30 colours available in the range, a mix of realistic and artistic designs. Now redfin is a cannibal fish, so I particularly like the realistic ones in these redfin patterns, the mullet ones, and anything that resembles a bait fish really well. Now these vibes can be fished in a variety of ways. I've found that the most effective way is doing your continual lifts and pauses, and it's when you lift your rod tip that you're going to feel that really strong vibrating action as the vibe comes up off the ground. Now you can also just slow roll these in open water or even troll them at a medium pace, and you'll definitely get some hookups with them. Now these are widely available at most fishing shops for about $18. A really good alternative to consider would be the Zerek Fish Trap. And I've got a few of them here that have a very similar design and feel. They also come in a good range of colours and similar price points. So there's one there, and there's another one. And those bright colours is something that redfin respond really well to. So it's all about the vibes and some really good options there. The next lure on my list is the Tassie Devil Spoon, just like that. Okay, now these lures were designed specifically for targeting trout, but they're also really effective on redfin and yellow belly and other freshwater species. Now the original design, which everyone's pretty used to seeing, which looks a little bit like this, been around for so many years and have had virtually no design changes because of its success in lakes, creeks and river streams, particularly on trout, but those other species too. However, in 2020, these lures took on 2 new variations, the spinner blade and the spinner spoon. Now the spinner blade is an excellent option in fishing in shallow waters. There are 2 sizes available. You've got the 3.8 gram and the 5.4 gram in 10 different colors. Whilst the spoon is more for casting, getting that extra distance. It's available in 3 sizes. You've got the 7.5 gram, the 9 gram version, which is this one here, and the 12 grams also in 10 different colors. Now, one thing that they've done on purpose is they've designed the spoon to have one side that's got that really nice colored area, which, you know, copies a lot of the trout colors. So you're going to see these in the pinks and blues and browns to resemble rainbow and brown trout. And then the other side is that polished brass. And the idea there is that you have the combination of a nice flashy colour and also those nice painted colours. Now the bladed versions swim really well in the water. You can feel that strong resistance and action when you're just doing a continuous slow roll, whereas the spoons you get obviously that greater casting distance, and these tend to dart from side to side, and it's a really great way to catch plenty of redfin. One of the best things about these lures though is that they're only $6.99, and that makes them a really attractive option and definitely within my top 10. Next I have the Zman 3-inch Slim Swims, which I think is arguably the best soft plastic paddle tail in the market. Now these are very popular amongst brim fishermen, however they're equally as effective in saltwater, estuary and freshwater fish, and particularly very effective on redfin. These soft plastics are available in 2 different sizes and 22 different colours, and some of my favourite colours include Midnight Oil, Calico Candy, Electric Chicken, Mood Ring and UV Pink. The best thing about these soft plastics is just that really natural look, that really strong action in the paddle tail, which mimics a bait fish really well, and so many different fish species find this soft plastic irresistible. Now the way that I like to rig these up is I like to use HWS jig heads. So you can see there that none of the lead is exposed. The lead is hidden within the soft plastic the way that it's rigged up. And this works remarkably well when you're fishing in shallow areas or any areas with a lot of weed and structure. You just don't get that debris that tangles up on the actual soft plastic. Another way that I really like to rig it up, particularly for redfin, is to use one of these Colorado style jig heads, which has the flash part directly attached to the jig head. Now these soft plastics are really durable. They're made with Zman's Elastax material, which they claim is 10 times tougher than any soft plastic on the market. And you know what, when I go out and fish with them, a lot of times I only end up using 1 or 2 of them in a session. So they are really durable, and at $10 a packet, which includes 8 soft plastics, these definitely should be in most people's top 10. Next on my list is the Savage Gear 3D Gravity Twitch Minnow. Just like that, and a few other colours just like this redfin pattern one. Now these lures were designed in Europe specifically for targeting large redfin. They've had multiple revisions over the years, originally known as the 3D Prey lure. In 2020 they had some redesigns which include some changes to the shape, the colour, the sound, and taking advantage of 3D printing technology, and they rebranded them as the Gravity Twitch Minnows. Now as you would have seen by some of my previous videos, I have been using these just either in the shallows or trolling them at the back of my kayak, and I've caught countless redfin on these. Now they are available in 3 sizes. You have the 6.7 centimeter, which is this one here. You've got the 8.3 centimeter and the 9.5 centimeter versions, and there's 6 different colors to choose from in the Gravity Twitch range. They do cost $16.99. Another slight change to that, they also have the Gravity Twitch Pencil, which is a smaller profile lure but much heavier, so that way you get much greater casting distance. So they've got these ones which are only 5 centimeters large, but they weigh 8 grams, so they cast really, really well. And I've caught plenty of redfin. I've also caught a lot of stock trout with these lures, and they are really, really good options when you're targeting freshwater species. The next lure on my list is the Rapala Shadow Wrap Jack Deep Hard Body Lure. Now the X-Wrap range of lures have been around for a very long time and heavily used in salt water. However, in 2021, Rapala released the Jack Deep range, which is an excellent freshwater lure when targeting things like cod, yellow belly, bass, and definitely redfin. So these lures are 50 millimeters and they weigh 6 grams. There's a pretty good color range, and they've got heavy duty construction with VMC hooks and really strong split rings. For me though, these have become a go-to choice when trolling from my boat or from my kayak, and that's because these lures dive down to 3 meters deep with that pretty long bib that they've got. And that's excellent because redfin are typically holding the bottom, and if you can get something that goes right down and is either hitting the bottom or close to it, then you're going to get your lure into the strike zone, and that's exactly what these do. Now these lures cost $22, which is pretty steep price to pay. However, they are very versatile, and the results that I've had with them so far has been excellent and definitely worthy of a top 10 contender. And the next on my list is the Blue Fox Vibrax spinners. Now the Humble Spinner has been around for as long as I can remember. It really is a no-frills option that has stood the test of time, and it still is as effective today on Redfin as it has ever been. Now there are many good brands of spinners out on the market. I've always liked the Blue Fox ones. They've just been really durable, and I just find that blade always swims very well. Now there are some newish versions of this which they've called fluorescent, and basically what it is that same style of spinner, but what they've done is they've released them in some nice bright colors which Redfin respond really well to, and available in two sizes, which is a 4 gram and a 6 gram option. Now the design of these lures is so simple, but so is the way that you use them. All you're going to do is you're going to cast these, whether it's along the shallow banks, out into open water or next to structure, and all you're going to do is just a continual slow roll, and you're going to feel the resistance of that blade just moving in the water. And Redfin and other freshwater species respond to these really, really well, and they're about $9 at most retail outlets, and very worthy of being in the top 10. And also keep your eyes out for spinner variations like this, which work remarkably well to give some color and some shine and take the old spinner to new heights. And finally, you've got the Pontoon 21 Paco spoons like that, and also like some other colors like this. Now for several years I've considered these spoons to be one of the best lures for targeting redfin and trout. They come in two different sizes. You have the 45mm long version which weighs at 10.5 grams, and you have the larger 54mm version which weighs 14 grams. There's 10 different colors, but the great thing about these spoons is that at 10.5 grams and 14 grams, a bit like the Wasaby spoon, they cast an absolute mile, and they come in nice bright shiny colors that catches many redfins. Now out of those 10 colors, my two favorites are these ones that I've already shown you. This one here which kind of resembles a brown trout color, and this one here which just resembles a bait fish color. And I have caught many redfin and trout using those two colors there. Now they are a very simple design. You can try and add some action in yourself. However, I find they work best when you just cast them, obviously cast a fair way, let them sink for a second or two, and just do a continuous slow roll, and you'll be amazed at how many redfin and trout that you'll catch for that matter. Now these spoons cost around $17, which is slightly cheaper than the Wasaby spoon, so they do make an excellent option, and definitely one that I have in my top 10. Well, that's my top 10 redfin lures and soft plastic out of quite literally hundreds of different options out on the market. Now some honorable mentions that come to mind straight away are things like the Cranker Minnow, Bullet Lures, the Daiwa Tournament Spike, TT Switchblades, Strike Pro Bobbin Spoon, Fish Arrow J Shads, the Squidgy Bite Tough Wrigglers, the Savage Gear Fat Tail T-Spin, the Eco Gear SX40, the Berkeley Shimmer Fork, and the Daiwa Bait Junkie Grubs. The list goes on and on. Make sure you leave some comments. Let me know what you think would be in your top 3, maybe even in your top 10. It'd be awesome to compare and see the differences and create some pretty interesting discussion. As always guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I hope you found this video helpful, and until next time, good fishing everyone.